I'm Asher Miller.
And I'm Jason Bradford. Welcome to Crazy Town, where AI data center security guard is the most coveted and only job left.
Hey, Jason. It's nice to see you.
It's great. It's just the two of us.
I'm so excited.
I know.
Rob is not here.
We get to do what we want.
We get to do what we want, and we get to shit on him.
I know.
And we don't even have to tell him. This will be a test to see if he ever actually listens to episodes that we record.
We'll find out. He doesn't have to know.
But, in the absence of Rob, I thought we'd invite another person to join us today.
Oh, yeah. I think this is great.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Elon Musk, Elon Musk, Chief Executive Officer of Space Exploration Technologies, or SpaceX.
So, Elon.
Great having you, buddy.
Yeah, it's so wonderful.
I had a big profile of you in our season on false prophets.
Yeah,
you were actually the ultimate false prophet.
Hopefully, Elon didn't listen to that. Obviously, Elon's not here today, but I did want to play a clip of Elon talking that I was made aware of through this great podcast called Search Engine. They did a 2-part series on data centers and AI. And let me play this clip, okay?
Like, say, for argument's sake, 10x more compute will double the intelligence. And I think we'll see intelligence continue to scale all the way up to where, most of the power of the sun is harnessed for compute, and then ultimately most of the power of the galaxy.
So
I don't know why he's stopping at galaxy.
Well, if he was Ray Kurzweil, he would have gone much further than the galaxy.
I think he's trying not to scare people with the grandeur of his vision.
Right.
He's toning it down.
Okay. So this is the reason why, and I think it's probably a good thing Rob is not here, because he probably doesn't want to listen to us whine to each other about how crazy the world is. But here's the thing. That was a talk that Elon Musk was giving, right?
This recently, too.
And he's being interviewed by somebody about this. And the thing that amazes me, right, there's been all this coverage that we've been seeing about, the rush for AI, questions about, is there an AI bubble happening right now? People doing great reporting, like Search Engine did this 2-part series, on data centers and the impact of them on communities and the rush for them. All this great reporting. Why is no one just stopping with their jaw hanging open when people like Elon Musk, the richest man in the world,
right,
say something as fucking stupid as that?
The daily, again, we're going to harp on the New York Times again, but the daily episode was really egregious about this, I felt.
Yeah.
Definitely not connecting dots. I did think the Atlantic podcast that came out recently about the AI bubble, they did a little better job of taking the next step and sort of saying, wait a second here. If these people are wrong that the AI investment is worth it, that it'll pay off, then there's a financial calamity.
Right.
If these people are right in that they're going to create artificial superintelligence in the next few years, which they say will then figure out how to make a return on investment. They don't know how. We're going to let this artificial superintelligence figure it out.
Yeah.
Which then basically removes the need for humans to exist.
Right.
Then we're also screwed.
We're also going to be out of jobs or whatever.
So it's very hard to find actually any good reason for anything to go well. It's hard to you struggle figuring out why, unless you get into pretty dark places.
Let's just back up for 1 second. Okay. So if you take it at face value, what all of these tech companies are espousing and what they're doing. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars of investment, trillions.
They expect $3 trillion of investment, with about $1 trillion of it being debt, which has really weird financial stuff that's
reminds you of certain time, quaint time in our not so distant past.
Yes, packaging things and reselling them and leveraging them and
default credit swaps or whatever.
Yes, for data centers.
So let's just take it at face value, right? Either they are successful or they're not successful. Let's just say there's a binary choice here, right? And in both of those scenarios, the outcome is bad.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no conversation, it feels like, that's happening about why this is moving forward. Where is the outcry? Where are people asking questions about why are we doing this?
Sometimes you get the people who are being affected immediately by the data centers kind of, ruining their local area. So it's like a NIMBYism. And they then dig deeper and say, you're screwing up our water, or, all this pollution is happening because of unregulated power plants. And a few of those then try to like make these arguments.
Or it's driving up electricity prices.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The bigger fish, like the supposed, intelligentsia of the world, they seem to just kind of go along for this ride and looking at these AI developers as the new oligarchy or the gods. Although I do think the real thing that's going on maybe behind the scenes and deeper is this national security sort of side of things, right? Like it's about war, it's about military, it's these super intelligent entities that will then paradigm shift our way for geopolitical reasons. And that everything else is just a smokescreen for that, at least at these deep state levels, let's say.
So we're talking about what are some of the drivers that have basically people going along with this, right?
Right.
And you're right. I mean, this Radio Lab went into Memphis, which is where Elon Musk's AI company is rapidly trying to build out these data centers, right? Mm-hmm. And the pushback that's happening, which wasn't successful on the part of people in this local community, very disadvantaged, historically disadvantaged, under-resourced community. They're coming in there, basically taking over this old factory, derelict factory, right? So there's like that kind of pushback, but there's nobody sort of saying, people in power at a larger scale, whether they're like pundits or newspapers like the New York Times or elected officials or whatever, nobody's sort of being like, wait a second, why is this even happening? Can we just hit the pause button? And I think, so if we're looking at what are the reasons why people aren't doing that, one, I think might be the story of progress. Like we're sort of locked into this idea that's kind of unquestioned. There might be debates about is this a good thing or a bad thing, but the general idea is that we should always be progressing on technology. Like we should never sort of just say no. Like, no, we shouldn't do this. It's just questions of like, is this happening too fast? Or what is it doing to electricity prices? Or what are the impacts on people? How do we make it sort of like less bad for people, you know? But never like, we should just say no to...
Like a Luddite thing, yeah. Right.
Technological advancement, right?
Oh, yeah. So resistance to saying that, for sure. That's one. Yeah.
Right. So that's like the myth of progress basically being like we're all locked into it. The other one that you just brought up, I think, almost it's like FOMO thing, like this fear of missing out.
And this is maybe the investor class kind of thing,
investor
the business
class
people.
And security. So you were just talking about the security issue, which is like, governments saying if we don't jump on this super fast and get ahead, the U.S. is going to be behind China and China's going to eat our lunch. And this is a security risk for us. So we have to double, triple down, quadruple down on this thing.
Because, the Chinese cat videos I'm seeing right now are so good and realistic.
They're much better than ours.
I mean,
the cat video I saw had like 16 legs. It was really weird.
When they're doing it with like a tenth of the energy of our cat video productions. So, I mean, they're just beating us in that for sure.
Yeah, that's a major security risk for us. So there's fear of missing out from the investor class, as you pointed out. People are like, this is what always happens, I think, with people who understand that we're in a stock market bubble of any kind, is they're trying to stay in it for as long as possible and like time their exit, right? It's like musical chairs. We got to like time when the music stops. I got to get out right before, right? So there's like that thing because they fear missing out on that extra cool $1 million when they're a fucking billionaire or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like insane, okay? But you're right, national security, and it may be in fear of missing out on the opportunity of like economic development that might come from the rush of building out these data centers. And we can, if you actually care about people from a government side and you want to lift people up out of poverty, you're like, we have to embrace this. Like,
this is the only thing right now that's leading to sort of like quote unquote growth within the U.S. economy. Is contracts for data centers. And so you don't want to say no to that.
But can we point out again the simple premise? If they're successful, we lose all our jobs. If they're not successful, we lose all our jobs.
Well, and
it's not all our jobs, but it's...
But then also if you get to the Elon... So most people are not talking at the scale of Elon Musk, of like taking over the galaxy.
Well, that's a whole other thing, which is like the impossibility of...
The other thing is the misalignment or the non-alignment problem with an artificial superintelligence that will then figure out a way to kill us all because, it's never going to be aligned with us. And we can't actually program these things with like... Asimov's laws of robotics. When you create a general intelligence, you create sort of a free will like environment where you're not. It's an agentic thing that has to evolve and adapt. And so, we actually have no way of knowing how to control any of this stuff. It's a major problem. And people are freaking out and writing books about it.
That is like a subset of what I was just saying, which is this binary. If we're successful, we're fucked. If we're not successful, we're fucked.
Yeah, either you lose your jobs or you all die.
Right. But if you look at this rush for AGI, right?
Yeah.
Basically, general intelligence, this idea that these machines will become intelligent on their own.
Yes, and program themselves.
Think for themselves, you know, in the way that we can imagine intelligence happening, right? So we've talked about this before. I think we have some skepticism if AGI could actually be achieved, right?
Right.
But they're banking on AGI being achieved.
It must be achieved.
Because it has to be achieved in order to figure out, like you said,
how to make money.
how to make money. You know, but then, so if they're not successful achieving AGI, then we're kind of fucked. That this is all basically cat videos, like you're talking about, just AI slop bullshit. Right? Or like call centers.
Just ruining our brains.
Just exactly.
Teaching us how not to write, how not to think, how not to draw, how not to make music.
And all the promise of it is gone, right? Like it won't materialize. Or if it actually is successful, it will kill us.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know. Nothing makes any sense. This is a scary time to be an investor. The intersection of international political instability, environmental disasters, white-collar job loss from AI adoption, and the impending pop of the AI bubble makes decision-making nearly impossible for regular people just wanting to grow and protect their wealth. Introducing Agentic AI Assets Management, where top hedge fund talent is brought to the consumer level. We are Wall Street quants who developed an AI quant running on a quantum computer. Our proprietary agentic AI will be given control of all your portfolio allocations, and by sensing the global financial system in real time, be responsive at quantum light speed to adjust your financial assets faster than any human agent possibly could. To give us room to maneuver your assets and avoid negative outcomes for you, Agentic AI Assets Management will limit its portfolio to $100 billion, which compares favorably with the $3 trillion being invested in AI infrastructure using $1 trillion in debt. Agentic AI Assets Management, using agentic AI to protect you from the AI debacle.
This is the crazy town thing of it all for me. Listening to a guy like Elon Musk spouting the bullshit he just spouted, right? It makes perfect sense. Blah, 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 blah. But we're just going to harness the power of the sun and then eventually the galaxy. And everyone's like nodding along.
Who are these people?
This fucking guy should be just laughed off the internet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And so I watched this video. It was terrible of Elon Musk sitting with the head of the NVIDIA CEO. I can't remember his name, but everyone's seen him now forever, you know.
With his leather jacket.
He's got a leather jacket. He's got a mic in front of his mouth all the time, talking on stage, walking around. Supreme confidence.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they're talking about the next big thing is we got to move the data centers to space. And he's talking about the next 5 years.
Right.
Because, like, if you look at how much...
Because we're so successful getting things into space right now. Data centers.
We're going to need like 300, 400 gigawatts of power running these data centers pretty soon. And the U.S. uses like, 500 or 600 gigawatts. So we're talking 2/3 of the power of the U.S. is going to need to run data centers in a few years. And the only way you can get that power is in space. And you know what's great about space is these chips, they cool themselves, right? And then the video guy goes in, he's like, exactly, a lot of the energy that goes into our data centers is actually cooling these chips.
Right.
And so our payloads are going to be light compared to what they, these guys are just like, we're gonna send NVIDIA chips into space very soon. And this is where he gets to start, like the sun. And, it's like, and then the galaxy is.
Well, and I wonder if he's talking, if Elon is talking to Jeff Bezos or if they're still in this like space war or whatever, because Bezos has been all about harvesting the moon. Yeah. So, if we can match these things up, we can actually harvest all the raw materials, I guess, that we need to go into the chips that NVIDIA makes. So instead of harvesting adrenochrome on the moon, which is what we're currently doing, according to Alex Jones, we could have actually operations to harvest materials off of the moon. And then I guess we'll have all the data centers just orbiting around Earth, no problem. And I don't know, like somehow beaming stuff down to earth so we can watch our cat videos that much more quickly.
Right. Then this warning, this flashing.
By the way, we say cat videos. We're really talking porn. Let's be honest.
Okay, or cat porn.
Cat porn. Sure. We can do anything we want.
Anything we want.
Furry porn. I mean, it's amazing.
It's incredible. Now, what gets me is that what's it called? There's this point where you have so much stuff up in space that one thing breaks.
Is a chain reaction.
And the chain reaction, and then you can't stop it, and then space is useless. And we're like super close to this happening.
Right.
You know?
Well, no, we're not, because Radiolab did an amazing episode about the people that are like working in these agencies to study the orbits of all of these satellites and other things we're putting into space and trying to see what might happen with these very complex math of like this one thing gets hit and then it triggers all these other things, right?
Yeah.
But here's the good news. Yeah. We've gutted all these government programs. I'm sure that Elon with Doge has canceled.
The irony.
So if you don't see it, this is what's happening with climate right now. We're not monitoring it anymore.
No,
and so climate change is no longer happening.
Yeah.
So if we're not monitoring the risks of, this chain reaction thing in space, it won't happen. We'll be fine. We'll be totally fine.
I mean, this is what I would love, like the kind of reporting I would love to do. I would love to see people do, because we don't have the budget to do it, and I'm old and tired.
Yeah.
It's stuff like all the things that could go wrong. Like, can someone start asking, like, make a list of how many ways either we're fucked if it works, we're fucked if it doesn't, and then how many ways it can fail simply because of biophysical limits. Oh, we have another drought, so the Arizona data centers can't get enough water, so they're shut down, right? Or whatever, right?
Or we take the water from farms, and
then there's a food problem, and there's riots. And so there's just, one after another, you can imagine them not actually reaching these goals for this build out, which of course means that the bubble's much more apparent. And they're planning on spending just an obscene amount of money in the next few years and achieving something like this, right? And of course, there's so many ways it can fail. Can reporters just look into like, now wait a second, how could this fail logistically? Like the number of contractors, natural disasters, right? Conflicts over any kind of resource. There's limits. These guys don't understand, don't seem to.
Nobody seems to understand the limits part of it. But first of all, I get a little side note. I was just thinking as you're talking about, our friend Nate Higgins has talked a lot about the superorganism.
Yeah.
Here's a hypothesis for you. Maybe we're already living in some kind of collective AGI in the sense of like the superorganism is making these decisions, through all these collective decisions that we're all making. Some of them are conscious decisions, but they're micro decisions in this larger picture.
Yeah.
And nobody feels like they're in control. Everyone feels like they have to do this thing, right?
Yes.
Like, where is there like this collective sense of, no, we don't have to do this thing.
It's the what's it called? The multipolar trap in game theory or whatever, and no, you're right. It's almost like an individual like you and I, who's very limited. We have one little beat brain running at, I don't know, 25 watts or whatever, right?
Mine's 26 watts.
Okay, way less than these data centers. But we can see this. We can see through this and have the intelligence and wisdom to say, at least time out, maybe freaking stop.
Yeah.
But collectively, with all the power of all these people and their mass intelligence and the millions and maybe billions of human consciousnesses and these machine intelligence, none of them seem to be able to stop. That's what's just
crazy.
Bonkers. That's what's just bonkers.
We're more, when we pull our collective idiocy or whatever, or call it our collective intelligence, we can get more clever. But it seems like our wisdom goes down.
Plummets.
Our collective wisdom is just to shit.
And part of it is a cultural this gets back into the problem of modernity and the progress narrative, because what you used to have was you would have cultures, and these would be like indigenous cultures. I would say even like peasant cultures. Okay, they're actually the same thing in many ways. That had taboos. They had
taboos.
They had taboos. Yeah. They had ways.
That's the first thing we got rid of when we got the internet.
Well, this is the irony, is that these taboos, we look at them and we go, how irrational! Like these people with these like ridiculous beliefs.
Yeah.
And I look at those and I go, those were those were guardrails.
Self-limiting, factors.
Those were very wise guardrails.
Yeah.
We told the story of the tribe in Africa where like the guy hunts a porcupine and he's successful and everyone shits on him.
It's like this is kind of gamey.
Yeah, exactly. But these are the kind of cultural things that keep people in check from madness happening. And what we decided was that we don't want any of these checks. We're just going to believe in progress continuing. And so essentially our culture has gotten hijacked and we no longer have these taboos. We used to have what we thought we could do in liberalism.
Yeah.
The idea was through the Enlightenment and liberalism, instead of having these taboos that were kind of weird, mystical, we would have an administrative state. We would have this bureaucracy and we would have ways of creating laws. And the laws are in place of these cultural norms. Now, of course, you get co-option with power systems and the laws now start getting overridden or ignored. And then what you get, ironically, is you think, okay, who's more mystically crazy?
Yeah, now.
Yeah, okay. Like an Andean peasant who still believes that, in their like ancestor worship and their animist kind of gods and talks to the trees, or fucking Elon Musk.
I know.
Okay? So did we actually get rid of our mysticism and our kind of illogic? No. It's still there. It just took the form of grandiose narcissism and techno-fetishism.
Yeah.
That's the direction it went.
And we tied it into an economic system, and I would say a legal system that puts the individual and property at the center.
Yes.
And then you have this situation where we're basically telling people that you pursue your own happiness, your own wealth, and we allow the religious beliefs of these tech kooks, I would say, to plug directly into the capitalist system and supercharge what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like the Andean peasant, what's a downstream effect, of like whatever their belief system is? Let's say it was a toxic belief system. The scale at which that person can impact the world is nothing like an Elon Musk.
Hey, this is Rob. Asher and Jason thought they could keep me out of this episode, but here I am sneaking my way back in. I'll spare you the poop jokes and references to 80s movies and 90s music, but I do have an announcement. Crazy Town is planning a mailbag episode in which we read and respond to your emails. So if you have a question, an idea for an episode, maybe an insult to hurl at Jason or Asher, or maybe you've got an example of how you navigate the mean streets of Crazy Town. Well, we'd love to hear from you, so please send us an email to crazytown@postcarbon.org. That's crazytown@postcarbon.org.
We were talking about the collective stupidity that happens, right? But there are still these individual reporters. Let's pick on the Daily, that Daily episode we'll link to in the show notes, right?
Yeah.
Great reporting.
Yeah.
People are doing good work, highly educated and skilled, at their jobs. And they're having a sincere conversation.
Great pacing.
Talking about like what is actually happening with AI and the build out. And they're talking about, some of the financial risks, around taking on debt and all that. And there's like a very slight, like almost peripheral out of the corner of their eye, a glance at, oh shit, like maybe there's some like jobs that will get destroyed out of this thing. But it should be one of those like, just like the record player just stops, scratches, like, wait a second.
Right.
The proposition here, again, I'm going to bring it back to this because I don't see, I would like someone to tell me how it's not one of these two options that is presented in front of us. They're successful, which leads directly to the loss of millions and millions, tens of millions, maybe more jobs.
Yeah.
for people and the risk to their livelihood.
Yes.
If they're successful.
Yeah.
And if they're not successful, we've just inflated this incredible bubble. Half of our GDP is going into, this build out right now.
Yeah.
There's all this leverage that's happening within, the
Yes.
stock market and all these things and debts,
Hedge funds
and so if they're not successful, we're going to have a massive economic downturn, potentially on the order of what we saw with the Great Recession,
and
with the
maybe
housing
way
crisis.
more, actually. The bubble
Could
looks bigger.
It could be more.
Yeah.
So those are the only two options I'm seeing
That's
right
only
now.
two. In the next 2 to 5 years.
And
1 to 5 years. It could happen next. It could happen
How is
anytime.
that not the only conversation that's happening when it comes to AI right now?
Yeah.
How is it not that every one of these people is being brought forward?
Yes, a congressional sort of panel.
Do it in Congress. Do it on the street.
Yeah.
Everyone should be like, wait a
What
second.
are you doing? Why?
Why is this happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Explain to me
Well,
why we're doing this.
Because I think, I think it's more like we're going to get a bubble than they're going to get AGI. That's my bias.
You think they will get AGI?
No, it's more likely it'll be a bubble
then
than,
we'll get
than
AGI.
AGI.
Yes.
Okay. So because I believe that, I think they're setting themselves up to be a too big to fail situation.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And of course, who did Trump have sitting next to him?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
His buddies now in the tech world.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're just waiting. Okay. If this is a bubble,
Yeah.
I've got this crazy guy in the Oval Office
Yeah. Who'll just
find a way to just keep it refloated or just pay off
Right.
or.
I think you're
don't know.
totally right. And I actually would even venture to say that if I'm going to characterize these guys as more evil than religious nut jobs, or somewhere they're on the spectrum, they're both of those things, then I would say that they maybe are looking at a playbook more like the dot-com bubble, right?
Uh-huh.
So what happened in the dot-com bubble was an asset class being totally inflated, right? All these
Yeah.
tech stocks. And then the bubble burst. And what ended up happening was a lot of destruction of companies and a consolidation.
Right.
And so there are a few winners that came out of this, right?
But how can you consolidate any more than you are?
No, they can, because right now, there's 5 AI companies. Let's get it down to 1 or 2. I think, honestly, we were talking about FOMO. I think for them, they might know that there's a risk here that this isn't going to work, or that they don't even have long enough runway, right?
Yeah.
To be able to get there. If, let's say they actually do believe that they can get to AGI or whatever
But
it is, right?
I'm a year behind the competitor. But so I'm just riding this wave with infrastructure, talent, and I'll get bought out and I'll be fine.
I'll get bought out, or I'll be able to buy out others. You know,
Yeah, depending which side you're on.
And
Yeah.
and we'll win that way, and it's okay. This is creative destruction, right? This is the
No shame
Silicon
in
Valley,
Yeah.
ethos, right? Like this is just all part of the creative process, and we'll win out at the end, either because we'll get bailed out, because we're too big to fail, or is this just a natural process of these companies succeeding and losing, and we'll have a few winners.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
The government seems to be okay owning parts of companies now too. So that's the other thing. It's not just bail out. It's it's quasi state owned entities now. And then of course you got the national security side of that, right?
right.
Essentially, NSA, Department of Defense is all now, I own incredible AI infrastructure.
Incredible AI infrastructure.
Incredible. Sorry.
And meanwhile, right, there was all this conversation about these chips become obsolete in,
Every couple of years.
in a couple of years.
Right.
We did an episode, right, about the Museum of the Future and what would be in there. And you look at all these post-apocalyptic films, right? And there are people walking through, the remains of New York City or something else, right? And you see all these skyscrapers or cars that are left behind, and people and you try to imagine for those people, if it's many generations of the future, like what were these things? What were people like we would imagine when we come across the remains of a Roman city or a Persian or whatever it is, right? Assyrian. We're just going to have fucking data centers everywhere. Like these big, ugly blocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's also so ugly. Jesus, if we're going to collapse and leave behind weird artifacts, why does it have to be this ugly? Strip malls and data centers.
Well, I think maybe we could have at some point the AI start designing beautiful data centers. Now you made a point of what are they evil or are they just sort of
religious
nut jobs?
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility that they're both.
Sure.
So I think here's the thing. The Joel Osteens or the Jim and Tammy Baker people, right?
Yeah.
The people that just they make these mega churches that end up looking like this grift mills.
Yeah.
Did they actually believe in Christ our Lord died for our sins and rose, and that the way to get into heaven is to, be born again? And I mean, do they believe that and they like grifting along the way?
I think that most people in those situations convince themselves that they're right.
Yeah.
And they justify somehow. And we've talked about this before with Elon and a lot of these other tech guys. The fate of humans today, or the non-human world, is inconsequential when you take a long-termist view, right? And so, you break a few eggs, maybe you lose, a few 100 million jobs. People are starving. I mean, that's kind of sucks, but this will allow us to get off this rock and, conquer the stars, and in the long run, it'll be better, you know? And I think they actually kind of believe that shit.
Yes.
For the rest of us, can we just normalize saying what the fuck and laughing out loud? Can we just normalize like people in, you're at some fucking TED Talk or whatever, or wherever you are, and
just start cackling.
Somebody says something ridiculous like just Elon Musk. Yeah, just
practice your cackle.
Yeah.
Practice your cackle. They're going to have an evil cackle. You practice the absurd cackle.
Right. It's the only thing we're left to do.
Now, I wonder, like, if you're a young person, let's say you're in college.
It's kind of hard to laugh.
Well, this thing, like, how do you take the future seriously? This is the question.
It's that same FOMO thing. It's like, this is happening to me. I don't have agency, and I guess I got to get on the train. I don't know. I don't know what they think. Or they're led by people like us to realize that this is the greatest Ponzi scheme of all time, and or the game of musical chairs or whatever metaphor you want to use, and that the music's going to stop really soon.
Yeah.
And the best thing to do is like get on land somewhere or whatever.
Or live in the moment.
It's a small subset of people, but it's kind of hard to look at all this stuff. I mean, I've had conversations with Avi, I was actually sharing with him and my wife, Kirsten, at dinner recently, like the reaction I was having to listening to that episode of the search engine episode, because I was very much in a crazy time moment. I was like, this is insane. Am I like the only person that thinks this is insane? So I was talking to them about that. And it's interesting. I think there are people who do see this as insane, and their way of coping and dealing, or like Kirsten, they put their head down. They don't listen to this shit.
Right.
They just try to do good things in the world and care for people, right? But then Avi, who's 19 years old.
Yeah.
He's pre-med in college right now.
Yeah.
I wonder sometimes what I'm doing makes sense.
Well, there's robo doctors in 5 years, according to probably some people.
And I said to him, people will always need health care.
Yeah.
And I think people are actually going to turn towards human care more. Yeah. So either this shit fails and we don't get application of AI in tech doctors, or we don't get those med beds that Donald Trump promised us, or we have that and it just becomes even more impersonal than it already is with the healthcare system. And that people will want human connection with a doctor who actually thinks holistically about their body. So I was like, I actually think that what you're doing kind of makes sense. If you can afford to do, he's fortunate enough that he's got a great deal to go to college right now. But yeah, for a lot of other people, it's a damn good question. I mean, obviously we have our bias about what we would say people to do, become a peasant, right?
Yeah. Make some new taboos.
Yeah, make some new taboos. But, for a lot of people, especially, young people, man, they should be mad. They should be really fucking mad right now. Okay, well, thanks for...
Good thing Rob wasn't here.
Yeah, I know.
He would have hated this, because he would just wants to put his head down and do good things, and he doesn't want to listen to our ranting about this stuff.
Well, listener, join us, please, in normalizing, laughing, or ridiculing the absurdity of what we're hearing from everyone. Or just ask questions.
Yeah.
I only see two possibilities here with this AI rush. Is there a different one that you see, and see what people say? Yeah. Maybe that makes them think, because I can't. Or if you are aware of one, let us know. And don't fucking send me an email about thorium reactors, okay?
That's our show. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard and you want others to consider these issues, then please share Crazy Town with your friends. Hit that share button in your podcast app, or just tell them face to face. Maybe you can start some much needed conversations and do some things together to get us out of Crazy Town. Thanks again for listening and sharing.
Crazy Town, da 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 da, Crazy Town.